Peace and love, everybody. Thanks for sipping this tea with me this morning. I'm sorry for making you all wait so long for this live, but I was just, putting some things together in the background. So I appreciate your patience very much. I know y'all came today to hear the bond hearing. The bond hearing did take place this morning. I was not able to live stream it on my channel for some reason, but I did record it and I'm going to play it for y'all now. It is about 45 minutes long. So just an FYI, it's about 45 minutes long. And then we're going to play some accompanying videos after the live stream ends that I had made for a previous video. And I'm like, fuck it, I may as well just share it today since I am live with you all. I appreciate you guys being here. Let me see. What is this? I really appreciate y'all being here with me this morning. I know some of y'all are working, some of y'all are probably in between work, but that's what's up. So, peace to everybody in the chat. I'm trying to keep track of your comments as well. Hey there, Nicole. I'm hoping I have some other mods in the house, but as usual, y'all, I just ask if you guys could just make sure that you're respectful to each other, to everyone. I know yesterday's live was a really contentious. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but it was a little negative laced, and I'm just asking today if we can all just be a little bit more positive. I mean, y'all feel free to express yourself any way you feel the need to, but let's keep the energy and the vibes high today, y'all, and enjoy this bond hearing. And then I want to give some love to one of my subscribers, followers, and fellow content creators as well after this, who made a funny ass Natureboy video that I'm sure y'all will love. Hey, Real Talk, let me make you a mod. I appreciate you being here today as well. Hey, Haitian, Bailey, Nicole, I think I saw you as well. Thank you guys for everything that you do for me, especially sometimes when I'm not here. I really do appreciate you. So, y'all, we about to kick this off. Let me share my screen real quick. And yeah, I know some of y'all have already seen the bond hearing, and that's okay, because some other people haven't seen it yet. So okay. Y'all see the screen okay? You chopping today? If they get nasty, I know. I cleared my entire block list. And then I had to block just one person right now. So I'm only blocked one person. And yes, I would thank you, that 504 girl. I would really appreciate if you guys would like this live stream. Get those likes up so that people can see what happens when you misuse and abuse people, and then broadcast it to the world to see. And, you can't get away with it. So here we go, y'all.
Maybe 3 witnesses, and they'd be speaking for character, as I believe the last ruling was enlarged about his character and for his community. So I did present 3 witnesses. I did have them actually just present character witness statements. However, they wasn't notarized, so I did just tell them to be available in anticipation of them having to testify. It's up to your discretion if you just wanted me to maybe read the letters itself, or at least just present 1 or 2. However you decide to run your courtroom, I would be more than willing to abide by your rules, but I do have a potential 3 character witness on behalf of Mr. Bishop. Well, I appreciate that permission, Mr. Edie, allowing me to do that. Well, I appreciate it. Ask for the permission of whatever you want, as if I will not be. Okay. Let's go ahead with those cases without the witnesses. So, Ms. Pasmino, we'll yield to you first, and then we'll come back for that. That might take a little longer. Give me just a moment to get a message here. Okay, thank you. Ms. Pasquino?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'll proceed. So to give you some background on this case, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, which number?
I apologize, number 2.
Number 2, okay.
Mr. Bishop. To give you some background on this case, we did have a bond hearing, and a pretty extensive bond hearing back on May 6, 2022 in front of Judge Winston Bethel. I'm going to reference that bond hearing because there was evidence presented before the court that won't be presented today, but will be summarized. Back on May 6 of 2022, the state did go into the factual allegations, as I'm about to go into right now, in addition to presenting some videos. And I will summarize those videos after I've gone over the factual allegations. So the factual allegations as it stands are that on March 30th, 2022, the DeKalb County law enforcement met with our alleged victim in this case, who is 27 years old, but I will not refer to her by name. But she did meet with law enforcement and informed them that an incident occurred at 2993 Arbor Chase in DeKalb County. She informed law enforcement that she was part of a cult that had been referred to carbonation or melanination, and that a few days before she had left that cult. She told law enforcement that because she decided to leave, as a result, she believed the defendant proceeded to post sexually explicit videos of her on social media as revenge. What I'm talking about is that there were 3 sexually explicit videos posted to Twitter under an account named 3God. That's important for the court to consider because the defendant refers to himself by a number of names, one of them being 3God and one of them being Natureboy. On this Twitter account, he posted 3 videos of our victim engaging in sexual intercourse with him. The victim stated that she believed he did this or caused members of his cult to post this because she had decided to leave a few nights before. She did not, while she gave consent to have the videos recorded, she did not give consent for the videos to be posted. And because she did not give consent for those videos to be posted, and the defendant did that in purposes of harassing her and for other people to view, and because she left with the cult, he was charged with 3 felonies for those 3 videos. In reporting this to law enforcement, she informed law enforcement that a few days prior, specifically around March 24th of 2022, when she tried to leave the cult, that the defendant had a few members of his cult. To give the court some background, he essentially has 6 wives in this cult. Our victim was one of those wives. On the day that she tried to leave, he had the women essentially kind of surround her and belittle her and basically hit her and say that she was not going to leave, that she essentially was nothing without the cult and that she could not leave. That day, she goes back and forth between wanting to leave. She's texting a friend, trying to arrange an Uber, misses the Uber. There is some back and forth, and that's corroborated through text messages. But she eventually decides she wants to leave. Other members of the cult tells her, hey, come upstairs, Mr. Bishop, the defendant wants to see you before you leave. I anticipate that the evidence would show that she did go upstairs to meet with him. Despite the kind of tumultuous relationship that existed in this cult between him and her and the other members of the cult, she still had some feelings for him. So she goes up to him to say bye. While she goes up, she is in a room with him, just him and her. And it's at that time she says that he does not allow her to leave the room. He says essentially that she cannot leave. And he proceeds to rape her. She said that she told him no multiple times and that she did not want to, but that he insisted that he didn't have to rape her and that he wasn't going to do anything that she didn't want to, but that he could kill her if he wanted to. And this is things that he has kind of repeated to her over the time that she has been in this, this cult. And so I anticipate that the evidence will show at that time she kind of gives in. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't say, yes, I want to do anything. She had repeatedly said no, but she doesn't know what to do in that moment. The defendant proceeds to rape her on the bed in that room. I anticipate that she would testify at a trial, that she was crying, that it was physically apparent that she was not engaged in these sexual acts, and the defendant continued to proceed with the acts until he was finished. That time, she essentially waits till everyone is asleep. I believe there is only one other member in the house that is awake at the time she decides to leave, and she leaves in the early morning hours of the night. That is the basis of the rape and the false imprisonment warrants that the defendant has against him. She leaves. She goes and stays with some friends. And then a few days later, when she finds out about the videos being posted on social media and sees them, she contacts law enforcement and reports all of this information. I gave you that background because at the previous bond hearing in front of Judge Bethel, we did play some videos, not the sexually explicit videos, because that would not be appropriate here for court, but we did play other videos of the defendant where he instructs women to hit other women in his cult. And I played that before the court because it was important for the court to consider the context of the cult and kind of the environment that our victim was in and why she would feel that she didn't really have any other choice but to let things happen, or she couldn't leave on that particular night. These videos repeatedly show the defendant speaking profane language at the women, but also instructing women to hit and strike other women and berating them and degrading them. And so this was an example to the court to show how he was a risk to the community, but also a risk to our victim. And so I wanted to summarize that for the court, that this is Mr. Bishop is part of a cult that films everything. They put everything on the internet. I would not be surprised if this also ends up on the internet and there are commentary about it, but they film everything. They put it all on the internet for the world to see. And Mr. Bishop essentially thrives off of degrading others, including women, and instructing others to commit acts of violence against each other. And so that's important for the court to consider. When we look at the Ayala factors, what was discussed at the previous hearing and what the state will stand by here today is that in looking at every single factor, he is a risk and he should not be given bond again. Again, the previous court, Judge Bethel, denied bond and found that he was a significant risk on each of those factors. We are now here and the state is unaware that anything has changed. We would ask that the bond still be denied for the following reasons. One, he does have some criminal history, which I will go over.
What was the date of that previous hearing?
May 6, 2022.
Okay, thank you.
He does have some criminal history. So he had a driving while license suspended out of Monroe County in 2006 that was ultimately dismissed. But the reason I bring it up is because he had a failure to appear, which is important for the court to hear. He had a failure to appear from 2006. In 2012, he ended up being convicted of another driving while license suspended in Gwinnett. In 2013, he was originally charged with the aggravated battery that was reduced to a battery out of Rockdale. And so while it was reduced to a misdemeanor, I wanted the court to know that it was still a violent offense. 2016, he did have a battery charge and interference with custody that was dismissed. 2020, he had a violation of rules and orders in which he served 90 days out of Hawaii. And that's important for the court to hear, and I'll argue why in a moment. And then he also, as far as I'm concerned, had a pending warrant for a domestic violence charge, temporary protective order out of Ohio. Back when we had the bond hearing in May, I believe there was a scheduled hearing coming up later that month. The state's not aware of what happened with that hearing. We know that the defendant has been in custody since, so I doubt that anything went forward with that hearing in Ohio. But from what we have learned, it involves his ex-wife and that there was a pending domestic violence warrant and temporary protective order against him. And so that's his history. But and looking at his history and some other things, Your Honor, the reason why I also mentioned the Hawaii offense is because, as I stated, they film everything and they put it online. What we were able to find out through our investigation is that the defendant has not just stayed here in the state of Georgia. He's been multiple places. They kind of move all around to establish their presence as a cult depending on what's going on. So they were in Hawaii. They were forced to leave because of that conviction that he has. They were essentially violating the rules over there in Hawaii. They were arrested and then forced to leave the Hawaii back in 2020. Him and his members have traveled to Puerto Rico. They have traveled to Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Panama, and with the exception of Puerto Rico, all those other places I mentioned, him and his cult has been kicked out for endangering and threatening the national security of those countries. So it seems that they travel wherever they can, try to establish their cult, their presence, and then they are kicked out for potentially endangering the safety and security of the countries, and they move to somewhere else. Back in May, don't believe this is true as of today, but back in May, and it's still important for the court to consider as far as flight risk. The defendant did have members of his cult supposedly in Mexico, securing a place for him if he were to get out. And that was right around the time back in May. I don't know that that is true as of today, but it's still important for the court to consider. This was uploaded to social media, and apparently one of his members was live streaming from that location. And so as far as the flight risk, given that him and his members have traveled to all of these locations, given that he does have a failure to appear and a pending warrant out of Ohio, he is a significant risk of flight or failing to appear. That's the first factor. And Judge Bethel also found that. As far as the second factor, he's a significant risk to the person's community and the property of the community because, as I stated, his followers will essentially do anything that he says. This was shown by the videos presented at the previous bond hearing. If he instructs them to do something, they will do it. He tends to brag about himself being someone who has this power and control of others. So if he is granted bond, there is no idea what he will order his followers to do. I say that because he's instructed his followers to reach out to our victim multiple times since he has been in custody. Not only did he instruct them at the beginning of law enforcement's investigation back in April or May, we were informed by our victim that his followers has reached out to her as recently as of this week, essentially trying to put pressure on her to drop the charges and to not move forward with her allegations. And specifically, she has informed us that it's the wives, some of the wives in his cult that has reached out to her. So he does present a significant risk to the person's community and property. He's also a significant risk of committing another felony. As the evidence showed before the previous bond hearing, he's ordered members of his cult to be violent to other members of the community. He has recorded himself saying that he is above the laws, his laws are nature, and he is God. So this is an individual who holds himself in such high esteem that he does not feel that he needs to abide by any laws that are in place in society or instructed by the court. And so that is something that the state finds that puts him a significant risk of committing another felony, as well as his history. While I know that they were mainly misdemeanors, he does have some violent offenses on his record. And again, as I stated, he was ordered to leave other countries for potentially putting their safety at risk. And the final factor, Your Honor, he is a significant risk of intimidating the witnesses, specifically our victim or anyone else who may decide to come forward in this investigation. Our victim has been cooperative with law enforcement and with our office. He's alleged to have been physically violent with her. And as I stated, told her that he could kill her if he wanted to. I've also mentioned that he's instructed his followers to go talk to her, and tell them that they need to make noise and do everything that they can do to see if she would drop the charges. While she is present and supportive, she's not giving a statement, but she did provide a written statement last time, which I read before the court. I won't read it in its entirety, but I will pick out some points on behalf of her to go to the intimidating witness factor. She states that she is fully willing to testify in this case, even though she is very nervous. She's asking that the court do not grant him bond. He has ordered people to abuse one another physically for his enjoyment and his pleasure. She goes on to state that he prevented her from leaving his home the night that she wanted to leave. He took her into another room after mentally abusing her for up to 2 hours, and after ordering the woman in his home to abuse her. He proceeded to then rape her when she told him she did not want to have sex with him multiple times. And she also had stated in her previous statement that he has openly told the members of the cult to reach out to her to persuade her from dropping the charges. And so she asked, in the interest of justice, the safety of the community, and for the safety of other potential victims who have not and may never come forward, she asked that the court decline bond. And Your Honor, I understand that Mr. Eder is present, just doing his job, and has brought witnesses as to his character. But what the court has to look at here today are the factors, and look at the allegations at this point and the evidence presented forward. And at those factors, each and every single one, that Judge Bethel found that he was a risk and denied his bond. If anything has changed for somehow the court to reconsider their position that he is not a significant risk, the state will submit to you nothing has changed. Other than the fact that he has been in custody for more days, nothing has changed. He still presents a risk. And I think that is very evident by the fact that there are members of his cult still reaching out to the victim to persuade her to drop the charges. So we would ask the court to deny bond and find that he meets all of those risk factors under Ayala and that he should not be granted bond. Thank you.
Is the case scheduled for grand jury?
It is, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Edie.
All right, Judge, before I call if inclined to, I just wanted to put a few things for clarification that I was not the attorney at the time of the first bond hearing. So I would argue that things have changed, at least in the perception of when I received the case and from what I learned from the first previous bond. Before then, I would just want to address the first issue, which would have nothing to do with the witnesses, which would be the flight risk. I stated that there was an FTA. In that FTA, I believe that case was ultimately finished. The Hawaii situation was brought up before Your Honor, and I believe that was in 2020. My understanding is that was during a COVID protocol, and the reason that became such a big issue was because the amount of people who were active with him, in which they perceived to be a cult, in which this is what Mr. Bishop and has been known as for a spiritual teaching. He is perceived to have went to school to be an ordained minister, in which his teachings have been followed by Netflix, BBC, Discovery, Spotify, and Apple, all in which people have given him contracts. These are people who have followed his documentary for his spiritual teaching, and his teaching evolving around promoting a healthier eating and promoting a healthier lifestyle. And as far as the names of the Natureboy, which will follow into the character of who he is, and then Mr. Bishop himself. I will be giving you more so about Mr. Bishop himself. Now, those things of the allegations of videos I did not see or was not present, but I would think that Netflix and these people who have paid him thousands and thousands of dollars to document and to film him, not just his recordings, but the recordings themselves of their production, would not be pushing out any type of violence or any type of following of someone who will be doing so much to the far right of the perspective of being some bad things there. So I would keep that into consideration about the following and the use of the word cult, that this is a spiritual teaching to promote healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, and a spiritual being about itself. And the reason that he has been in those places was to promote those things. Some people may consider them to be a distraction to the world or the laws that has been there, in which he has been told to leave. And if it was so, he would pack up his stuff and go. And in that process of actually having followers going back to set up places for him to reside or live at. I would disagree with that. What happened is if he goes to Mexico or Costa Rica and those places, when he is asked to leave, there are people who decide to follow him and come with him legally over to the States to continue to follow it. And after this pickup of the charges, these people have now resorted back home, in which he was allowed. He basically, told them, you can go home, and as I fight this case, you can get ahead and go home. And these people now have went back home, but they have remained loyal to the teachings of Mr. Bishop. And that's what we have here, not more so of setting up places to abscond. And to refute that, what I would ask for is simple, a 24-hour curfew, an ankle monitor. There's plenty of things that the county of DeKalb could put into place that will assure him that he will be here. I'm not too sure of his passport status, but he is more than willing to give up his passport. And more than willing to put himself on a 24-hour ankle monitor, but for the release of him to be able to work, in which he has 2 jobs that will be outside of any type of social media, any type of documentaries, that he has actual working in the county here, which would be a barbershop that he has opened up. He is a certified barber, and he has a landscaping business that he has running by close family members and friends that he would be able to go to. So that I would assume that to be satisfactory for his risk or flight risk. And he has been resident here in DeKalb County since at least dating back to 2014. So I'll present to you that he's not a flight risk. To get to the risk to community, that's why I would be willing to present the character witnesses. And if it's allowed to, I have up to 3. But if you would want for 1, 2, however you would decide to, I would just like to present them. And they have written statements that are no longer than a paragraph, in which they would just like to read to you here before Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
The first one I will call, if available, would be Mr. Ryan Wilson. Mr. Wilson available?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Mr. Wilson. Yes. I received your statement, in which it wasn't notarized, so the judge will allow you to just read your statement. What I would like to do is swear you in first, Judge, if I insist, if I'm allowed to.
Go ahead.
May you raise your right hand?
Yep.
All right, and do you swear that only you will give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth? So help you God to this honorable court.
I do.
All right. Mr. Wilson, may you please state your first and last name and spell it out for this honorable court?
My name is Ryan Wilson. That's RyanWilson.
All right, and precisely, I would just ask you a basic question. How long have you known Eligio Bishop?
About 4 years.
All right. And in your 4 years, explain to the court the impact, or the positive or negative, whichever way it may be, impact that he has impacted on your life and to the families around in the 4 years that you have known him.
Yeah, what I can share is that my family consists of me, my wife, a 10-year-old daughter, and then we actually have a baby on the way. And one of Eligio's teachings with me is just the friendship and the bond that we've had together, and him always being there for me whenever I needed to, pick up the phone and ask questions or need help in regards of maybe my life or, my relationship with my wife or different things going on in my life. And one other thing that has been his teaching that really affected me was going and bringing awareness around food and teaching about, chemicals.
Okay, we're going beyond where you indicated we were, Mr. Edie. And this isn't a redo. This is an opportunity to get a redo at bond. It's a reconsideration, any additional information. So I don't want to get into all of that.
I got you. Mr. Wilson, I would just be imprecise. Would you just give the court and your relationship, I'm sorry, the phone is falling, and your relationship to how he has impacted you, and then as far as the community in which you was going, his risk to the community, anything that he has done for the community in which you guys lived in when y'all shared together. Just
what I can share is that he's given a lot of information out to the community because he's trying to reach out to the community and help the community in many different videos. Like we have said, there's many videos online and there's many videos about him trying to help. And what I can say is just to make this real short is, for my family, he's always been there to help, always. always been there, just one phone call away to help in any which way that he can be, because he just wants to give back that reaching hand and help out the community. That's what I'll share.
And one final question. Has he ever been a danger to you and your family?
Absolutely not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, may I?
Yes, no further questions.
Mr. Wilson, are you a member of his cult?
No, I'm not.
And have you ever lived at the 2993 Arbor Chase Drive in DeKalb County?
No, I have not.
And have you ever seen any of the videos of him directing women to hit other women?
I have seen videos, yes.
Oh, you have seen those videos?
I've seen videos that you're referring to, yes.
Okay. And it is still your testimony here today under oath that after seeing those videos, you feel that he is not a danger to the community?
I do not believe he is a danger to the community. He never has been. He never has been, and that's just my views, yes.
And that's your opinion even after seeing those videos?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Eady, have another witness?
Yes, Miss Adriana Johnson. Miss Johnson, are you there?
Yes, hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, in yourself. Would you please raise your right hand for this honorable court? And do you swear that the testimony you will give will be the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, may you please state your full first and last name for this court?
Yes, my name is Adriana Johnson.
All right, and may you spell it?
Audriana. My last name Johnson, Johnsson.
All right. How long have you appreciate it? You can put your right arm down. How long have you known Mr. Eligio Bishop?
It's been more than 3 years now.
Okay. Precisely, in a paraphrasable type of substance, could you just explain to me or explain to the court, if any, good or bad, how he has impacted you and then the community in which y'all shared during your time together?
Yes. Well, I'm here to say that Eligio has been a dear friend of mine for more than 3 years now. And as a true friend, he has always been there for me, even in my darkest moments. He has always been able to provide me with great advice and emotional support anytime, like even when I needed it the most. And unlike a lot of other people, I know Eligio personally and not just from the internet. And if you know him, you know that he is a joy to be around and he is a pleasure to work with. Eligio is always upbeat and spreading positivity. He is a very courageous, charming, and down-to-earth person. Knowing Eligio, he is a very, very compassionate person, always willing to help people whenever he can. And just from me, like I said, knowing him personally, he has always operated in the purest, with the purest heart and intent.
All right.
And his morals.
Work with him in the community. What are some of those things that you have done or you have witnessed when you say have done things in the community? What are some of those things?
Yeah, he has brought people together in beautiful ways. You get what I'm saying? He has traveled around just and with the spiritual teaching and the spiritual knowledge, he has allowed people to gain divine knowledge of self that help us navigate, on a path that can, it can be very overwhelming, just dealing with worldly things and all the troubles in the world. He has always brought people together. Like I've been around him when it's like big groups and just the way he organizes things, just the way he puts things together. He is a great leader. He is a great leader. And I have always known Eligio to operate with the purest heart and intent. Morals and principles are his top priority, and I would hope that the courts can find it in their judgment today to, grant him bail and for him to be released after serving an extended amount of time thus far. I would hope that the courts, could just find it in their judgment, to grant him his bail.
All right. And one final question. Are you a member of his spiritual teachings?
Yes, I do subscribe to his teachings. I've never been a member of the actual cult, but I do subscribe to his teachings. His teachings is universal. It's not, it's not nothing that no one can't, understand, if you sit and if you listen with the open mind and open heart, is facts, is irrefutable facts.
Thank you. No further questions for this witness.
Thank you.
Ms. Mino?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Johnson, so I know you said you subscribe to the teachings, but you're not a member of Carbon Nation, correct?
Yes.
And you didn't live at that 2993 Arbor Chase Drive in DeKalb County or any residence with Mr. Bishop?
No.
Okay. And you were not present the night that these incidents have alleged occurred back on March 24th of 2022. Is that correct?
No, I was not.
Okay. And so you have no knowledge of what actually took place on that date?
Actually, I do have some knowledge, and that is only because the alleged victim did a live interview.
Okay.
Where she's
let me stop you there. I don't want to know if you have some knowledge from what's been passed around on the internet. Were you actually present that day?
No, I wasn't. I've never been to that.
That's all I asked. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going off of what the alleged victim has stated herself.
All right, thank you, Ms. Johnson. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and I have one last witness. Miss Maya Singleton.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Singleton. How are you?
I'm fine.
All right, may you please raise your right hand? And do you swear that the testimony you give before this honorable court will be the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes, all right, you put your right hand down. How long have you known Mr. May you please state your name and spell your name for this honorable court?
My name is Maya Singleton, MA'Singleton.
Okay, and how long have you known Mr. Bishop?
Nearly 6 years now.
All right, what's your relationship with Mr. Bishop?
We are friends.
Okay, and precise with the time that you have shared together, could you share with any experiences, good or bad, that you have witnessed and or worked with him in regards to him and contributing to the community in which y'all shared together?
I can. Our friendship has meant to me, as I am not a resident of Georgia. So,
be precise as far as anything such as any outreach or anything that you have seen him giving back, anything just precisely with him in the community in which y'all shared, whether it was.
I've seen him offer counsel and support to people, not just words. I've seen him offer financial support to people as part of the community, as well as myself and counsel.
Okay. And are you a quote unquote active member of his spiritual teachings or regarded in this court as a cult?
No, I'm not part of the cult.
Okay. And that would be the only questions that I have for this witness.
Thank you, Ms. Mino.
I have no questions for Ms. Singleton.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, anything further, Mr. Edie?
And nothing further as far as witnesses. I would just finish up my argument as far as the remaining factors of the case, and then I will be done with my presentation here.
Okay.
All right, so judges, I will go back. I will tell you that Mr. Bishop is a 30-year-old African-American male born in New York. He was born with a troubled childhood. As an infant, he lost both his mother and his father. And through that experience, he was able to make himself what I would consider to be a useful man of the community. He's the father of 4 children from their ages of 13, 8, 4, and 3, and is currently active and involved in all of their lives. At some point, he became an ordained minister and a certified barber. In January of 2014, Mr. Bishop opened a successful barbershop here in the state of Georgia. The address will be 6013 Highway 42, which is called Bishop HD's Barbershop, in which that barbershop itself has held many community events. He has led chess tournaments, which allow people places to go and give out free haircuts for the children in the community, as well as to learn a game of chess. And most people take chess as something that will be taught throughout the lifelong lessons of kids to be instilled into them. He employed many different people from different backgrounds. One of the things that he promoted was asserting people who picked up a trade who was previously incarcerated, who picked up the trade of barbering while in jail. And upon their release, those are the people in which he actually was given jobs to and allowed them to be certified barbers at his job. Bishop's HD Barbershop Cuts is actually still open. It's still operating, and it is led by one of his closest friends named Lex. Once he left his barbershop, he then went on to his journey of a spiritual teaching, which he picked up a learning tool in which there. And part of that teaching is, again, as previously explained, has been followed and picked up by documentaries of very big known Discovery Channel, Netflix, Amazon, and things of that nature. He's also an author. He's given out plenty of books. One of his main books is called The B6 Diet, which he wrote on how to eat healthy and more of an organic. There's nothing different in his book that you'll be able to not look up in a cookbook from Kroger or Publix or anything like that. It's just the teaching of eating organic food, and it's not just limited to that. We have plenty of these books in which they are all free. They are on Spotify, they're on Apple Music, or anywhere that you can go buy on Kindle to get these books. He's authored over 17 books. They're available on all platforms. He also has a large catalog on his influential teaching. At that point, I believe, is where we get the disconnect from the social media in which he has now been placed with his character, in which people know him as the Natureboy or the Sixth God. And these things have become a character in which Mr. Bishop and Mr. And the character of Mr. Bishop and the Sixth God or the Three God or whatever has been a disconnect. As a person, you have heard from different witnesses that he is a great use of the community. His platform is for spiritual teaching and for better uplifting in people in their health. These followings are people who are still here active and full of support. That is 3 of 3,000 that I could have presented, in which I just chose not to. These public teachings has attracted positive energy as well as the negative energy. His offering of these teachings ranges from anywhere, not just on the basis of spiritual.
Sorry, I thought you said, but these 3 are not a member of the group, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry, I received a phone call. Yes, those 3 members stated that they're not members of the group, and at the time, I mean, these members are all over the world. So I could try to consider someone in close of nature. Last, I would just tell you that Mr. Bishop has inspired million people to just basically live a healthier lifestyle. As I would proceed to tell you that he has been in future contracts with plenty of people on social media as current as today. There are people that every time someone logs in, you get what they call certified checks, which was on Instagram as official pages of such as Netflix or things like that, who are in tune and follow, have reached out to me in ways that they can actually support and help him in this process. With that being said, I think that he has invested a good relationship in helping out and employing people. He has not harmed anyone or is not a danger to the community. And as far as the last option, which I think is something that would be super considerable, obviously we know where we're at in the discovery phase of this. But I would like to let you know that I have personally seen that the victim, the alleged victim, is currently active on social media. And when she's currently active in social media, she is actually still partaking with some of the people that are considered to be part of this cult. As early as maybe just 3-4 days ago, she's in a working relationship and still following the teachings of Mr. Bishop. She's I believe to be in a relationship with another follower of his cult, and a supreme follower, meaning someone who is actually possibly taking over and continuing the teachings, and that's who she's with. So she has been in video, has been in live, is what they call it, live video, live teachings with some of these people who were considered to be make him a danger to her. But as of recent, I have seen these with my own 2 eyes of her actually on social media with these people who are members of this cult, and she is still active with these people. So I would digress and say that he's not a danger to her, or she's not afraid of him in any type of manner, as she's actually lingering around and following the teachings and around the people in which he has a first-hand communication with. So I would allege that the state would have to look into that a little bit more as far as their witness. So with those being said, I would say that Mr. Bishop is entitled to a bond. I don't think that that the ruling in the first bond was incorrect. Things have changed. The victim is actively being part of the people that he's around. He is not a danger to the community. There are witnesses who are here to testify that that he has helped them in a personal level. I have listed out many of things that he has done prior to being picked up. And again, he stands before you an innocent man. I understand the charges that's alleged with him. I would love to go more in depth with some of the charges, as that would be a discovery issue that would come up that would allege for the other charges, such as the quote unquote revenge porn. I think that in discovery it would show completely differently that there have been times that is part of his teaching. Part of the teaching is part of teaching safe sex, and that this is something that has been previously in their history together. That is not being any type of revenge porn, and that would show out in discovery. So overall, I expect to do set a reasonable bond. He's not a flight risk. He's not opposed to an ankle monitor. He's not opposed to any type of house arrest. He would be able to monitor his barbershop. That would provide him income to be able to obtain an attorney. I think that he takes this quite serious. He has obtained leave for representation throughout the case, and that is not with the help of the big businesses that have reached out to me personally to help in each way, such as Netflix and Discovery, that these have been coming through him personally to help retain. I think he takes this case very serious. This is not something that he's overlooking, and that a bond is appropriate for this case, that he will be able to get not just back to his teachings, and he'll be okay if he has to be shut down on his teachings that he has actual work to get into, but to be there for his family. He's active in his 4 kids' life and has been active throughout that process. We asked for a bond to be set in no more than $100,000. Theoretically, I would ask for a $50,000 bond, but to be reasonable with the court, $100,000 bond would suffice. And I allow Mr. Bishop to post bond with 24-hour services and an ankle monitor to make sure that he will not be considered a flight risk. That would be it that I have for Mr. Bishop, and I would thank the court for your consideration. May blessings be upon you and your family. Thank you.
Okay, what I'm concerned that actually this seems to be much of the same information that would have been presented or could have been presented before Judge Bethel. He heard all of the evidence on it. I've not heard anything this morning that would cause the court to make a different decision from the decision that was made back in May. So I am going to deny your request for any modification or reconsideration of the decision that was made.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state will prepare that order. I believe that that concludes my business before this court, and may all parties on this case be excused.
Yes, everyone with the Bishop case may be excused. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Tabitha.
There you have it. So after all that, putting on a banana court show today with, these remote fake cult members who have no inside information into what was really going on behind the scenes, they're being called as character witnesses. And interestingly enough, none of his witnesses were beyond 6 years. So no one beyond or past the point of him deciding to become a cult leader. So I thought that was really interesting. I really appreciate you all tuning in today. Thank you so much for, thanks for being here. I'm going to show another video that kind of precludes the arrest and just basically Natureboy manifesting himself into the position that he's in right now. So I'll take a look at this one while I do one last thing. And y'all discuss in the chat. Tell me what you think.
Fuck for me, man. Fuck for my niggas that can't get no pussy, man. You know what I'm saying? I fuck for my bitch. I'm still on something. He just put it back there. I fuck for my niggas behind bars, man. I know how it feel. I fuck Aya for y'all. I fucking 3 at a time for y'all. I get my toes sucked just for y'all niggas. I don't even be wanting pussy. I fuck for y'all niggas behind the bars, nigga. I know how I feel that at Fifi, nigga. How I'm out here loving it for you. I be getting tired of all this pussy I got, bro. I be like, goddamn, I don't know what fuck it is. Who I want to fuck? I want my toes leg, my ass leg. I don't know. Y'all might want to get my head from the back. But what I'm saying is, man, we don't know him out here. You come on, man. Don't come on with that bullshit. Nah, there's what I'm saying. Which one you like? Put it in the chat. Which one you want? Which one you want, son? Talk to me. Huh? Which one you want? What do you want? Like what? I put it all on fucking Twitter for you, nigga. Show you how I'm living, nigga. For me and you, we brothers, man. We don't do this. Fuck on, man. On Twitter. Right here. Yeah. Fuck on, man, nigga. You better keep your bitch away from me, nigga. You know what time it is. Real niggas know what it is. We ain't gotta say it from a mile away. You know what time it is. It's big pimpin', nigga. But I don't sell pussy. I'm selling my knowledge. But I ain't selling. Giving away for free. So whoever's willing. But these women, shit, you can take it. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Guess what? It's still gonna come back. You know what I'm saying? Once a whore hit that block, shit, what you gonna do? You Captain Save a hoe now? You wanna save these motherfuckers, huh? You wanna save these hoes, huh? That's what you worried about? Nigga, we play with these hoes. This ain't nothing. This cheap shit, nigga. We do whatever we want with women, nigga. What are you talking about? If it wasn't white supremacy, there wouldn't be no equal women rights. Nigga, that shit happened because the white man is here. Nigga, if it wasn't that, nigga, we have our foot on these hoes. Like, we be throwing these hoes around, nigga. What you think we doing behind the scenes? What you think we doing behind the scenes? Real niggas is like, yo, look at this bitch out here. Look at this bitch out here. Nigga, look, we be sending these bitches to each other. We don't give a fuck about y'all hoes. We cheap. We think shit. I got niggas going on pause. Listen to me. Damn, my principal called me. You doing your thing, nigga. Real niggas. They got, you know, balls. They got a lot of, you know, pull. But, you know, we gotta disguise ourselves. We can't let niggas know we here. We're like the men in black. You never see us coming through that now. Right in front of your face, but you never see us coming. Because we could do this. Yes. We could do this. We could do this. Yeah, see, I'm the kind of nigga that, if a nigga come to me, I'm a roach. It's different kind of niggas in this world. See me, if a bigger nigga coming up, I'll be like, bitch. Oh my God. What's up, man? You nigga, man. And see, because I'm gonna touch you with my divine feminine and masculine. I'm gonna make you get nice and comfortable. I'm gonna disarm. And then I'm gonna eat your dick off. Y'all niggas is reasoning and compromising and manipulating bitches. We did what we wanted with women. Y'all niggas is bugged the fuck out. Yo, listen, bro. We don't give a fuck about no bitch. No, what? We would go to other tribes, still lay bitches and fuck them and kidnap them and they kids. I'm serious. The tribal shit is not the same as this. You know, you walk around in this system. I'm not saying to do none of that shit because they still ruling, but I'm just saying we was different. That's what the hood is all about. Those are the real niggas that was here before this shit started, and they threw us in cages so that they could have domination. And the niggas that y'all fucking with the niggas that had to adapt to survive. So when I'm addressing a nigga, I'm trying to check if I spill radar, if I feel me checking back to me. If I don't, I detect pussy. And if I detect pussy, I'ma fuck it. Any way I can, manipulate it, twist it, These niggas around me pussy. And I'm fucking them. You feel me? I do what I want. I'm a king. Can't tell me what I could do, especially if they agree to do it. I can do what the fuck I want. It's enough that I ain't tearing this bitch out. We out here chilling, waiting on the sun to get to a certain degree, nigga. Something special about to happen. Something special's about to happen. We feel it, we feel it, we feel it. Woo! Something special's about to happen. Something special's about to happen. We feel it, we feel it, we feel it. Woo! Something special's about to happen. Something special's about to happen. We feel it, we feel it, we feel it. Woo! Something special's about to happen. Something special's about to happen.
I couldn't help it. I could not help it, you guys. Oh my gosh. Y'all, we're gonna wrap this up in like 5 minutes. I'm gonna end this. I don't think none of y'all want to come up and talk about it. You're probably working in between work and on your break or what have you. But we'll definitely revisit this at another time. I do have some editing to do in the background. I'm got a little some other things that I need to do today. But yeah, we definitely do real talk. We gotta we need to we need to chop it up about all of this as well. But what happened at the bond hearing? Woo, you are late coming in. Well, bond was denied. Is Solar going to call in? Probably not, but Solar will probably most likely end up speaking his real actual piece at some point. Leaving a cult, even when you're a quote unquote high ranking member, it's never like just a black and white type of thing. So I think maybe he's processing right now, and hopefully he comes out and tells the whole truth and nothing but the truth. When he's fully ready and kind of understanding that Eligio is going to be doing some time. So best case scenario is that Solar could possibly end up testifying. Hopefully that does end up happening, because that'll be pretty much the nail in the bucket. Anyway, y'all, thanks for tuning in today. Yes, all the girls are together. I believe they are at Cookie's house. I'm have it on very good authority that they are at Cookie's house, all living together. True was probably between Cookie's house and the woods. If you guys recall, if you were watching when they lived with Cookie at one time, she does live in an area like, I think, like her subdivision. They have some like wooded or forestry area behind the home, something like that. So who knows? But anyway, y'all, please hit that like. I rarely ask for much, but I do want to spread awareness about this bond hearing and the denial today. So please hit that like on your way out. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the chat, everyone in the chat today, and all the mods. I want to give a shout out to somebody who watches my videos and made this funny video, basically about Natureboy. And we're going to close it out with that today, guys. And thank you so much, Real Talk. I appreciate you saying you're going to share the video. We're going to close it out with that today. You guys, everybody have a really, truly wonderful rest of the day. And Cookie's in Atlanta, whoever that is. She's definitely not in California. She is in Atlanta. If you got to ask who Cookie is, then you're new to the series. Yeah, well, that is definitely true, but that's okay, because there's a lot of new interest in this case since it's now, hit national media, and it's going to be a lot more once it hits the trial phase. So this ain't nothing yet, y'all. Y'all already know that. But anyway, pushing Cookie, you guys are hilarious. Just want to let you know that. And anyway, I'm gonna share this one last video, and then yes, I'll let y'all hit the road for the rest of the day. Shout out to whoever this subscriber is. Her channel name is Sylvia Christine. She made this video and tagged me in it, and it was kind of funny. So I'm gonna play that for y'all. And yeah, peace and love to all y'all. Thank you.
Everyone knows Jesus, the man who healed the lame. But I am Jesus' brother. Craig is my name. Jesus is the Prince of Peace. Jesus is the Lamb. Jesus is the Son of God. But Craig goes down. Because when Craig's in sight, we'll party all damn night. I don't turn water into wine, but into cold Coors Light. I'm not my brother, I know, don't walk on H2O, but I got hydroponic shit that me and Judas grow. I'm fucking Craig. I'm fucking Craig.
Oh, nigga.
I'm fucking Craig. Great Christ. I hang out with lepers, Barabbas and Salome. Jesus' friends are called apostles. Those dudes are deadly gay. Jesus performs miracles from Galilee to Rome. But it would be a miracle if he brought a fucking lady home. Because while Jesus is praying, fucking Craig is laying every lady in the testament. You know what I'm saying? I won't die for your sin like my famous kin. But if you got a little sister, then there's room at this inn. I'm fucking Craig. I'm fucking Craig. I'm fucking Craig. Great Christ. Jesus was our mother's faith. All her love to him she gave. But there's no sibling rivalry when he's nailed to that tree. Yeah. And now the question for you is not what would Jesus do, but where will you be when the great machine comes partying through? And if the Lord would allow, you got to ask yourself how and who and why and when and where is your Messiah now? It's fucking Craig.
Hurry up and answer, bitch. I ain't fucking playing.
Fucking Craig. I'm fucking Craig. Craig Christ. Craig Christ.
Donate. These are donations. My people donate to me. I can't work for money. Yelling at you, trying to tell you, get the fuck out of here, stop yelling on my daddy. And you motherfucker gonna sit there with my daughter in the car and disrespect me.
Shout out to Sylvia Christine. That was pretty hilarious. So I want to leave it on a humorous note, even though this is a very serious case, y'all. Please don't think I ever lose sight of that when I do add humor into the situation. When the occasion calls for it, sometimes it just is what it is. But I know how serious this is, and I know that as much as we owe it all like to know everything and to think that we have we know everything that's going on in the background, just keep in mind that you know there's a lot still happening. Janae is definitely going to be testifying. I know that a lot of you guys have like doubts, and you have valid concerns, and I get it. But from everything that I know right now, she's is firm in her stance, and she is moving forward with what I personally think is courageousness at this point, considering the type of power, control, and manipulation that Eligio had over and still has over his cult members. So let's just keep in mind that no matter how we might feel about a person, no one deserves to be sexually assaulted or violated. um, Period. There's no reason for it, and we all know what Eligio is capable of. And I don't know. I can't wait until it gets to the trial phase, and I really can't wait to see how everything eventually transpires. The DA did allude to the fact that they do have a grand jury trial scheduled, so we will find out that information. And I don't know if that is going to be live, but we'll definitely be providing updates and constantly keeping you guys informed of what's going on with this case. So thank y'all so much again for tuning in. Yes, no bond, no bond. If you're just now tuning in, he was denied bond today, and he will not be getting out at any point in time. I think he can probably try to apply to get bond again, but I have a feeling that every single judge is going to say the same thing. There will be no significant changes in between those bond hearing attempts. So, yeah. So let's just hope that, people continue to, see the truth and leave the cult. And I'm just hoping that people come forward. He had character witnesses speaking for him today, and I think that the reverse is definitely going to be in store, where people are going to speak to his actual true violent nature and character. You can say the truth but still be an abusive asshole. You can still tell the truth about, certain things that can be scientifically proven or not, but may still be true, and still be a cruel, evil, manipulative, deviant. And so this is all just the chickens coming home to roost and karma calling. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to the chat. Thank y'all again for tuning in. I appreciate it. And no surprise that none of the actual members spoke up. Nikki, I don't know how delayed I might be with answering this question, but I agree with that. And I thought that was a very interesting move that they decided to have, like, remote cult members is what I like to call it, speaking for him and for his character, and not the actual cult members that are in his physical presence. How ironic is that? And it just goes to show that if they do decide to take the stand for him at trial, they will be under oath. And I'm just hoping that they come to their senses at some point and decide to speak the truth, because nearly every single person in that cult becomes a liar just by being in that cult and subscribing to whatever it is that Nature Boy tells them to do or tells them to put out to the public, like Solar alluded to yesterday. They lied about the baby. So I'm definitely very, very interested to know what happened, the truth about it. Um, it's just, I feel that it is going to be a really tremendously horrible thing to hear, but I think the truth needs to be told, and this will most likely be another defining factor. And I don't even know if it'll be a defining factor, because it is out of Atlanta's jurisdiction. So if anything happened that could be considered criminal to the baby, I'm wondering how that might work. And who knows, it might go federal. You never know. Just have to sit tight and see what happens. But what's your question, Meta World Peace? Comments are the best. They had a hike. Yeah, we'll see. Solar did say that Nature Boy killed the baby. Oh, my dog is barking. Hold on one second, y'all. Somebody's at my door. Anyway, I'm back, y'all. Thank you. Is there a threshold for bond application? That's a good question. I don't know. I think that he can possibly try to get bond. I don't know how often they can try to apply for bond, but I don't know if there's not a threshold, how many times you can be denied bond, but that's a good question. And if anybody has any knowledge of that, please post a comment in the chat and let us know. Yes, he did say that Nature Boy killed the baby, but he also did state that the baby was born in the hospital. So I'm really wondering how all of this correlates, and it's hopeful that we will have those answers soon. Seriously. So Meta, I think it's because, when you are a part of that cult, one of your missions is to basically, and they don't look at it like this, but it's basically how people feel in quote unquote Babylon. Is one of your missions is to bash and to tell people that they're living wrong, and to tell people that they're going to perish, and just basically, for lack of a better word, you're manifesting darkness into the public on a daily basis with their teachings, quote unquote, and their just bashing of just regular people like us. And so people people have that contention in their heart when it comes to these cult members. But so just like it's going to take a while for the cult members to really kind of deprogram themselves and deprocess from all of this manipulation and ridiculous brainwashing that they allowed themselves to go through, it's going to also take a while for the public to um, probably forgive as well. There are, you're going to have people that are going to be more compassionate than others, but I think everybody has their process. And so on both sides of it is going to be a process, you know? So that's my humble opinion. So, but yeah, narcissism is definitely the basis of it, and probably other personality disorders as well. He definitely needs to be mentally evaluated at some point, just to find out all the breakdowns, what all the odd behavior that we saw in those final weeks, what all is a testament to that, like what's fueling all of that, because it can't just be untreated manic depression. It seems to be influx, a plethora of different things. Yeah. The Baker Act. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that Apache doll, that when Velvet cried while telling that story about Zoka, there is definitely more to the story. There, from the things that we saw on video on the live streams, it was a lot worse going on in the background, and I'm sure that we all kind of figured that. But it is probably worse than we imagined. I mean, Solar kind of alluded to it in his live yesterday, where he talked about, Eligio beating them until they're bloody, beating them until they're, having seizures, beating the men until they pass out. He was beating everybody and getting a pleasurable kick out of it. Like, this man is truly sadistic. He takes the sadism to a whole new level, but he is something wrong with him. Definitely something wrong. But it's going to be fixed by the very thing that he always claimed that he was, and that's nature. That's the universe, and that's God, the real, true, living God, and not the three God. So, but yeah, guys, y'all know I'm not a long-winded person. I don't really I do have a lot of thoughts on this, but I don't know. I don't want to sit here and bore y'all. It's funny because people always say, "Oh, I wish you would have gone live a little bit longer." But y'all know I'm not a talker. So, and sometimes I'm wondering, I'm like, am I boring them? But anyway, I do appreciate y'all tuning in today. I'm gonna be dropping another video soon, and hopefully we can get some really honest, um, some real. I think for the most part, these cult members need to. Uh, they really need to start telling the truth about what they saw going on there. I know a lot of them don't want to reach out to law enforcement or the DA's office and give that type of information, but I think it's crucial that happen. They need to do that. They need to take a stand. They need to be courageous, even no matter what people are going to say about them. They need to take Janae's lead, actually. As much as we might have to say or think about her, what she's done is a courageous thing. And I'm not going to sit up here and victim shame her at any point, because she is the catalyst and she got this ball rolling, and she truly is a victim. People might say, "Oh, well, you were with a lot of people. So what?" That doesn't give anybody um, anybody an excuse to sexually violate somebody. And if someone has been sexually violated multiple times, and that one time they've just had enough, then they deserve that grace to be able to defend themselves, and to seek justice for being um, abused, even for the times that they never reported on it. So that's my feeling, and I feel like that for any woman, any man who's been abused, especially sexually, by someone, and in a vile way. It's vile. It doesn't matter if you're not bruised up and bloodied and bumped up after an occurrence like that. There are many different ways that men and women sometimes take advantage to violate someone sexually, and you know the way people respond to that is different. There's no like one set response to that. So that's another thing. Um, I don't know. Yeah, Ashley, he's been kept. He's a kept man. The county of DeKalb is keeping him nice and safe. Y'all remember when he was saying how y'all remember when he was saying that the police were there to protect him? Well, that's kind of true now. I mean, they are protecting, they are keeping him safe beyond behind bars, but they're also keeping his members safe and the public safe from his toxic. Um, I don't even know what to call it anymore. What do you call a cross between toxic masculinity and toxic femininity? Because he definitely exhibits, both negative characteristics of that energy. But yeah, he I wouldn't be surprised if he violated one of the men there and they just are too ashamed to speak up about it. I'm just going to put it out there. The type of character he has is that anything or anyone in his presence is his property. You are his domain. You are in his dominion. And he was beating on the guys. He was punching them and trying to hurt them when they would do things that was. And it's interesting, like, how are you still giving orders from behind bars? Like, you can't put somebody in the corner from behind bars. I did have a very brief, um, but emotional for him, I know, discussion with Solar yesterday after his live. And, there's so much that was going on in this cult that it's just, y'all haven't even heard the half of it. And that's the crazy part about it. We haven't even heard the half. So, and then there was also this dynamic in the cult where, some of the members would know things that were happening, that were controversial or that were, violent or just, straight up deplorable. And other members will be unaware of what was going on. And so, that's the makings of a master manipulator, where you're able to have a group of people in the same setting, and they walk away with completely different experiences of things that happen at the same time. And that's because he tried to be crafty at sometimes hiding his indiscretions, and sometimes just being at the forefront and not caring about who, what, where, when, or why, who was saying it, why would you broadcast something like that? So there's so many complexities to this cult. There's a lot of there's a lot that's going to come out, I think, at trial. And just for the public, if there's anything that you guys might see or hear that you guys think might be beneficial, you know speak up and share the information, for real. Let it be known, because this is everything is going to be helping to hold him accountable for his crimes. He's a criminal, and it is what it is. He is where he wants to be, I think, surrounded by real ninjas. And I'm hoping that he has a personal awakening. He has his own personal awakening while he's sitting in jail, and then once they transfer him to prison, because that's where he's going to end up. And it's been a long time. No, exclusive. That is not true. Because what happened is, once when a woman has been sexually assaulted and they come to terms with that, which she probably took her a little while to even, come to terms with, okay, so that's what he's been doing all along. Because I'm pretty sure that's not the first time that one of those women said no and he did it anyway. There was no denying him. He was also the type of individual that liked to confuse love with pain, love with abuse. Is the type of person that, hey, I'm physically sexually assaulting you, but what I'm going to tell you I'm doing is making love to you. Like, use your use a little bit of common sense. Use your brain and think about, why would somebody think something was one thing and it really was another. It's just manipulation, brainwashing, being under the tutelage of someone who's a master manipulator, someone who has a history of sexual abuse against women, physical abuse against women. He said, after she was abused physically and mentally and verbally, that she willingly just wanted to be, no, that's it's not true. And thankfully, for a sexual assault victim at trial, they are their evidence, especially when they testify in their own defense. So they can try to use anything that they want to. Ultimately, it's going to come down to her telling her story and trying to convince the audience and the jury. I'm sorry, the judge and the jury versus him doing the very same thing, and they're going to be this deciding factor. It's not going to be us. Okay, so she definitely no, she actually I don't know. Yeah, you know what? And it's interesting. I don't even know. I can't tell everything that I know because I don't want to, I don't know. But he has a history of that. And I'm sure that, multiple members, once they speak to that, that will help in helping to prove that. But I personally, with my very own eyes, I have seen some of the evidence that was presented to the DA that she did allude to today. And he's definitely not going to get away. Like Solar said in his live yesterday, you've gotten away with a lot, but you're not going to get away with everything. So, say what you want, but he definitely held her and he definitely wasn't, he might have said on live, like, oh, they can go when they want to go, but why did everybody sneak away in the middle of the night? I mean, come on. Can't just, hey, Nature Boy, hey, Chief. Now I want to, I think I've done enough. I have served my time and I'm ready to move on. And he's going to just say, yeah, go ahead. An energy source for a narcissist. You're not going to just give something like that up that easily. So that's why the convincing, the hour long, sessions and lecturings on why they should stay. And this is all documented. So that's the beauty of this case. It's all documented, you know? Hey, pretty kitty, if you just now getting in the room, his bond was denied for the second time. I have a feeling that he may try to request a bond again, but I think judges kind of probably going to uphold what another judge has said at this point. I don't see anything significant changing from the first two times, and so he can keep trying. But it's just going to be more money that he could be, better put to use on his defense at this point, because it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for him, not the defense, not the prosecution, but for him. So like I said earlier, I think one of the best things that could possibly happen in this entire scenario would be for, Solar to gather his courage, to gather his strength, to gather some fortitude, um, and to do the right thing. really apply those principles and morals that carbonation taught so fervently about. Do the right thing, tell the truth, be real, be honest, redeem yourself, relieve yourself, because it's got to be a burden that these people are carrying. All these lies that they've told, all the cover-ups. It's sick. It's really sick. So, um, True's gonna be in a really sad state for the next few months. Surprised that he decided not to speak in his to speak in Nature Boy's defense, but then again, I'm not surprised because he knows damn well that he wasn't going to get bond today. Like, this man is holding on for dear life, but he eventually is going to have to, hang it up and branch out on his own and figure his life out. All of them will. And you can't mooch off of people forever. True needs an intervention. But what can you do with someone who's fighting demons that were there and lingering long before he met Nature Boy? True's likely seen some things in the military that and definitely done some things in the military that are probably, he's probably ashamed of. He's probably, he went off and joined a cult. You left society. You saw and did, because you don't really change your colors after, just all these years, True all of a sudden is this type of person, lacking compassion, lacking empathy, lacking common sense, but yet calling himself a master teacher, spouting a few truths that you can find on Google at any given time. And you trying to use that against people just because they're living a different lifestyle than him. No one wants to live like that. And I think the delusions are just really sad and pathetic at this point. But, you know, he is stuck and you have to figure it out. That's true. Um, Dang, the comments are moving so fast and I can't even go up. Oh, yes, I can. That's true, Peanut. He did do some things. That is very true, voice of clarity. I've always had that feeling that, the things that he saw and accumulated in the military have a direct bearing on the way that he functions right now, as well as the things that happen in his personal life with, losing his mother at a young age, and then just the behaviors that he has talked about in the past that occurred after he lost his mom. True was physically violent, with his peers at that time, especially with girls. As a teenager, he didn't know how to process his emotions, and so there's damage there, going way back. And so him and Eligio together is just a dangerous combination. So just hoping he try, at this point, just as the trial proceeds, I'm just hoping that he holds it together and doesn't do anything that he will regret, and that might land him in prison, because True is always the one, what you want us to do when the cops roll up. He's always the one that's gun ho, like he's gonna do something and sacrifice himself for Nature Boy and the cult. So he can be considered a wild card, but hopefully he does nothing to jeopardize his freedom at this point, because all of the evidence is still being collected by the prosecutor's office. They have so much to go through. So it might be a while, guys. It might be a while. Again, y'all, if you just now joining, bond was denied, and rightfully so. He doesn't deserve bonding. He doesn't deserve to be out amongst civilized society. He needs to be he needs to do his time and you know and be and I could say this, but the odds of it happening are low, but he needs to be rehabilitated in some form or fashion, either be it, as far as his mental illnesses being treated, um, or just as far as his doing a total 360 with regard to, um, you know, stop teaching bullshit, stop telling lies, and stop living this abusive, violent, despicable life while trying to act like you are an angelic, pure-hearted, loving being. He's the least loving person I've ever seen to snitch on themselves. So it's funny how they call Solar a snitch, but they don't call Nature Boy a snitch for basically snitching on his own self. Your character is on display for everyone. He didn't even really need character witnesses. And if his lawyer was really savvy, he would have found some of his old videos of him, talking about how he was God and stuff, and and then telling the judge like, "This is God, Judge. Like, Judge, what don't you know who you're talking to? This man gave you life and breath. He's Lucy's. This is Lucy's ancestor. Okay, Lucy is the first human in America. This judge, meanwhile, is a grandmother. She looks like she's a grandma, but looks like she has years and decades of experience. So she's heard it all. The lawyer, you know, lawyers are gonna lawyer. He's making his bread. So good for him, you know. The character witnesses definitely made it worse. And I do want to reiterate that Janae is going to testify at trial. Solar is not talking her out of testifying, guys. He is supporting her in this, as far as what I know. And if he's not, then the DA will know, and it would be considered witness tampering to the highest degree. So he's put himself in a very interesting situation as well, because the DA knows that they are together. She is aware of everything that's going on, and I think it's yeah, Tabitha knows. She does know who Solar is, and she does know that Nateri and Solar are together. His lawyer brought that up today, but the DA knows Solar is no longer aligning himself with carbonation. He better, if he knows, if he's truly walking in love right now, which I do believe he's trying to express, maybe that part that he hasn't been able to express for the last few years, he will do the right thing. And so I did just want to let you guys know that I do know with certainty that she is definitely um 100% on board with his prosecution. Um, no one's gonna, let alone Solar, is going to impact that. It's too late. So, you know, it's too late for all that. A lie detector test. Why would the victim need a lie detector test and not the accused? I'm especially when they're, the initial evidence that they saw was on the Twitter feed, and he needs to prove that she gave him permission to post it. How about that? Think like a lawyer. Just think like a lawyer. Queenly, he's not out. He's not getting out anytime soon. His bond was denied. He's a cult leader. He's a cult leader, and cult leaders rarely get off. They're rarely acquitted or exonerated. There's no reason for it, because the one thing that I've told Janae throughout this, once she first told me, because when we did the interview, I had no idea that she had talked to anyone, that she had gone to the police or anything like that. I was not aware. However, I was aware that something had occurred that was bad. And so I do have I do wish that I could have gone back and, like, y'all would have, had I known that, don't you think that the interview would have been a lot different? I would have been asking a ton of questions, just solely focusing on that evening, you guys. Like, real talk. Um, that's why when had given Tasha K those interview questions, I was trying to think, and I know I was just a little out there with my questions, but I want to know the answers to the real stuff that we need to know. This is the abuses that are going on. I need to know the real, not just the fluff, everything that I could see with my own eyes. I want to know the things that I couldn't see with my own eyes. And so, there was confirmation that there were assaults that occurred that night. And to be quite honest with you, to all the carbonation supporters out there, you guys are lucky as hell that Zoka and Eferu are not in jail with them. I mean, I'm sure they probably would have just been slapped with a misdemeanor. They probably would have been out on bail and, awaiting charges for assault and battery. Who knows? It could have, misdemeanor, first offense, whatever. But that was an assault that occurred that night. They assaulted her to the point where she decided that it was in her best interest to leave. That says a lot to me, you know? Um, and so these ladies are lucky while they're sitting up there talking shit when they themselves are abusers. So they've been abused as well. So it's a really complex situation when you have been abused. You've been greatly abused, but then you're also greatly abusing others. It's a sucky situation. But I just thought that was pretty hypocritical when you kind of brush over your role and the things that occurred that night and try to downplay what happened, knowing that it was a volatile situation all around. So I don't believe half or even, a 99% of the things that come out of carbonation members' mouths at this point. They are, they lie for a living because that's what their leader tells them to do. Master liars. He's the master manipulator, and they're the master liar and manipulators as well. So, yeah, I don't want to talk down on them, but I just want to be honest about what happened that night. And what happened that night is that Janae she was assaulted by the women, and that it is what it is. So, Eligio's going to have to pay the price for that, even if they don't. So that's what I'm happy about. Because this karma that he always likes to talk about is exactly what he has been manifesting in his life. That's why it's important to, you know, do unto others what you'd have them do unto you. Like, that's one, biblical, verse that I can say with certainty we should definitely apply to our lives whenever we can. But anyway, y'all, I'm gonna cut this short. I know y'all are talking. Maybe if y'all are, wanting to chill, I can put something else on since this is a live stream and you guys can talk and chat. I don't know. But y'all are crazy. So Beagle followers as character witnesses. Exactly. I don't know what he was thinking with that, but uh, not a good look, brother. People that don't, ain't been there, he wouldn't have let that elite. The one guy that was a character witness. I remember that guy. His name was. It was kind of a. His spelling of his name was like Eligio's, but it was like different. It was like with the E, and he put it. He used like. It was odd because their names were similar. So he has been a follower of Eligio's for some time now. That guy actually was living in Chicago when he first started following Eligio. I remember screen recording him on some lives with him. He moved his family out to either Costa Rica or Honduras or something like that. He sold everything, moved to the tropics. He was so happy to tell Eligio that he had moved to the tropics. But then Eligio had moved back, he was back and forth between quote unquote Babylon and the tropics. So I just thought that was just so ridiculous how these people are truly following behind everything that this man says, knowing that, he's just he's telling, partial truths and then living in a straight up fantasy where you gonna live in the woods and have no source of income is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And that's why the women are currently living at cookies, mooching off of her because they have no sources of income and they refuse to get a job. So, yeah, that's what it is. No bond to all, just arriving and tuning in. It was denied. It was denied. So, guys, I'm gonna be bouncing. I appreciate you guys tuning in and rocking with me and commenting and sharing your opinions in the chat today. Connie, the guy was a fraud. He was a fraud. He never had any intention on doing anything. He was a fraud. He was a manipulator as well. And I won't even acknowledge who he is as a person by saying his name. I'll just leave it in the comment. But that guy was an idiot. That's all I will say about that. And this is, due to my personal interaction with him as well. I don't mean to, well, okay, I did mean to insult him when I just said that. But I'm sorry that I said that, but he had no good intentions. And yeah, he was not a good person. That's all I'll say about that. Y'all look at her comment. Look at Connie's comment. Connie, you can tell him who you were talking about. I'm not gonna say his name out loud. Yeah, the thing with their followers is that they don't know how to stand on their own feet unless they're literally forced to. And unfortunately, especially with the women, they've put themselves into a situation where they're distancing themselves so much, especially now, even from their families, that they're just putting a greater burden on themselves because after he's gets convicted and sent to prison for any of the charges, I don't care if it's 2 out of 3, as long as he is brought to justice for his crimes, they're going to have a really big wake up call, and it's going to hit them hard, and they need that to happen. Some of them is happening now already. They already know. For others, it's gonna be a really sad process for them. It's gonna be a long, drawn out, excruciating process of realization. Because if you're that deep into not even realizing that he's going to be in prison for years at this point, and you're one of his followers, then you're just living in a state of delusion. Hopefully, it happens eventually. But vegan food lovers, yeah, every woman wants to be a queen. um, it's always funny to me when people, oh my God, how dare she wanted to be queen? All of them there want to be queen. So why is that so shocking to you? She actually wanted to be Solar's queen. But Nature Boy did put her in the running to be queen, even though everyone knew that he wanted Malia to be his queen, his ride or die, his Bonnie and Clyde. And so I think, like, who cares? Every woman wants to be a queen, honey. That's nothing new. That's not something that should be shocking to you. Um, I don't know if she wanted him specifically, because she did honestly tell him and the entire cult that she wanted Solar. So if you're gonna come in my comment section and you're gonna make blatant statements and tell me that it's fact, bring some corroborating evidence, okay? Her goal was not those ladies. Her goal was Nature Boy. If her goal was Nature Boy, then why did she ruin her own? Why did she ruin it by telling him that she was in love with Solar? You're telling me not to be surprised when it's all revealed. Stop, vegan food lovers. Thanks for contributing to the chat, but you don't know as much as you think you do, and that's okay because neither do I. But the more that I learn and the more that I find out, the more that I just try my best to put the pieces to the puzzle and say, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense." Um, you know, it is what it is. If you feel that she wanted Nature Boy and she had him, she could have had him, then what what does that change? They all wanted to be queen. What exactly does that change about anything? The crowning of queen is just so ridiculous. It's actually silly to even talk about. It's like, oh my God, she wanted to be queen. So what? Every woman wants to be a queen. That doesn't mean that she agreed to be beaten and sexually assaulted and prevented from leaving and having to sneak away in the middle of the night. Like, so those arguments are just, it's rubbish. It's rubbish. Don't make that argument here. Don't make that argument here. He didn't know. Everybody knew that he was gonna choose Malia though. Like, so he's just putting on a show, guys. I mean, if you've been following them, you would know that. It was just him drawing stuff out. Like, come on, could you see Aya being crowned king or queen? Could you see Nateri really being crowned queen with Malia there? No. So if you really thought that, and you really think they thought that, and you haven't been watching them long enough to understand the psychology of the cult as a whole, and the psychology of how Nature Boy's mind works. It was all a game, it's all a show, it's all for show. What Nature Boy was doing was dangling Nateri in Solar's face. I mean, if you can't see that, then you're missing a lot. I can guarantee you that you're missing a lot. So he he dangled her in his face so often, that I didn't even, the video that I made the other day, just showing all of their interactions, just regarding Solar and Janae. So many of them, where Nature Boy is as dumb as he might be moving, as dumb as he moved in the final weeks. He was being really slick and shady with the way that he was moving behind the scenes with the members of his cult, and how he was manipulating them and putting them against each other, and then bringing everybody together, and just doing all this crazy stuff on the back end, playing with their emotions and playing with their feelings for sport. He was getting pleasure out of this. And so, when you're living in the big brother house and you're abiding by big brother's rules, you just gonna play the game. I mean, she played the game until she got beaten to the point that she decided to leave. So the thing is that she decided to leave before the sexual assault occurred. It wasn't even after. Now that's the killer for me. That's a killer point. It's like, it was before. And then the incident occurred. And she had to leave. She had to sneak away in the middle of the night. So just kind of, you gotta think a little bit deeper. Um, I think that we like to think that we know everything, but we don't. Not exactly, Saint. It's like most of the women never they were not there for him. They saw how his character and his demeanor was, and none of them were really that into him. That's the thing. Like, yeah, they were there because of his position of power. And it's okay to admit that you're there because this man is, you know, has control over other men and other women. Admit that that's what you were looking at. You wanted to stand next to him and experience that. But at the end of the day, it's corrupt and it's toxic and it's dangerous and it's criminal, and it's not something that any of them really should have wanted to be associated with. And so that also just speaks to their mental state. I don't know. It's a lot to unpack. It always is. And that's why I try never to just be matter of fact about my thoughts or my feelings or my opinions until I learn more. And I can only do that from hearing directly from their mouths. Um, Instead of just trying to think that I know exactly what was going on, because I don't. And I'm going to be honest and say that, obviously. But those are just my opinions. I thank y'all for sharing y'all's as well. Yep. And it's all whoever Yomi, that is evidence. Um there's evidence that speaks to that. I'll just say that. So definitely he's got a lot of proving to do and a lot of defending to do. So we'll see. We'll see when it all comes out at trial. It'll all come out at trial. Pisces with family. He looks good. I don't know how he's doing mentally. I know he has a lot of deprogramming to do. He's what, the youngest of the group, right? Behind Loyal. And he has a lot of deprogramming, and um, I really feel that Pisces needs therapy, and hoping he's reconnecting with his son. But if not, then maybe that might be a good thing. It might be a bad thing. You just never know. Where depends on where he's at mentally at the moment. So I do hope he's doing well, and I do hope he is really pulling himself away from the cult and kind of severing those ties in the best way that he knows how. If you're just now coming in, guys, I'm going to be ending this live stream. Um, Bond was denied. Loyal has not been seen except for on social media. You're right, Juju is the youngest, but I think he is maybe 1 year younger than Pisces. I'm not really sure of Juju's age, to be honest, but I know Pisces was the youngest for a long time. So thanks, Voice of Clarity. But yes, all of them took major abuse from Nature Boy, a lot of physical as well as mental abuse. And I think that will come out as well. I'm just hoping that Solar and the others just really, like I said, come out and start speaking truth about what was really going on, the abuse. Okay, we've heard y'all proclaim the kingdom for years. It's been rammed down our throats. Now let's proclaim the truth about how you were living. Were you living the knowledge or not? Be honest, be truthful. Let the people know. Let these followers that are still hanging on every word that Nature Boy says know what was really going on in this cult. And the fact that they're willing to lie, cheat, steal, and who knows what else for Nature Boy. They're that is dangerous, and that does make him a danger to the community, because each and every member of that cult is a part of the community, thus making him a danger to the community. So I'm not really sure if the baby will come up in court. I do know that that baby is outside of Georgia's jurisdiction, but who knows? Hopefully Solar is willing to speak the truth about that at some point, and we can, we're going to have to give him a little bit of grace so that he can tell the truth, so that he can feel that he is, in a space to be received and to tell that truth. If he doesn't feel that, then, we may never know. And so I'm just hoping that he, you know, uses his courage and is encouraged to speak the truth, tell the truth, set himself free, set yourself free. Yeah, it happened in Puerto Rico, but I'm saying it's outside of DeKalb County's jurisdiction because it is. You don't. So they would have to work with Puerto Rico if there was to be an investigation into the baby. They would have to work together. They can't just go to Puerto Rico and start, doing their own investigation without, letting them know what they're, what, why they're doing that, and hopefully asking for assistance in that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, guys. All right. All right, crew. Thank you again. I'm for real leaving this time. Y'all try to have a really great rest of your day. Um, we'll see what developments come out over the next few days, and maybe do a live this week and breaking some of his charges down, and sharing thoughts on what we think and what we hope happens. So everybody have a great rest of your day. Thank you for supporting my documentation of carbonation. I appreciate you. Lee, I'll be back. I have to have some stuff that I got to do on the back end. And I promise I'll be back to chat with you all again soon. Thank you and have a great day, guys. Sending you all major peace and love. Thank you to my mods. Thank you for the chat. I appreciate you guys. Um, we had good vibes in the chat tonight. D-Ron, I'm ending the live now, but Bond was denied. And peace and love, everybody. Bye, Bailey, Sarada, BB, Lee, Haitian, Anaya, Joma. Thank you so much, guys. Mom Callie's music cooking. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see all of you soon. Peace.